Assalamu alaikum girls, you are welcome to your online classes. This is Kizra Akib. Today we will discuss the poem The Ice Cart by W. W. Gibson. I have deliberately skipped the first poem, The Flannan Isle, because we discussed that poem in the classroom. Gibson is a Georgian poet. He is one of the Dimok poets. Dimok poets, they are a small group of the poets who settled in the Dimok village of Gloucestershire, England, shortly before the World War II. Most of Gibson's poems are dedicated to the fishermen, to the industrial workers, to the laborers, to the miners, and the landscape usually of Northumberland, where he had spent his early childhood. Girls, this is highly imaginative poem where the imagination of the poet is stirred by a simple spectacle of an ice cart, and in his imagination he visited the polar region where he had very beautiful, fantastic, and romantic experiences with the polar bears and the seals. Okay, let's read the text. Perched on my city office stool, I watched with envy while a cool and lucky carter handled ice, and I was wandering in a trice. And the narrator of the poem is a clerk, an office clerk who is sitting perched on my city office stool. He was sitting in his office chair. I watched with envy while a cool and lucky carter handled ice, and he happened to see an ice cart, an animal-ridden ice cart, through the window of the office, through the window of his office room. I watched with envy. He looked at the carter with envy. Why envy? Why jealousy? Because he was sitting in a dark, in a heated and suffocating environment of the office, while the carter was handling something very beautiful and cool, and that's why he was calling the Carter Lucky Carter. And I was wandering in a trice with a no time, in a single moment. And I was wandering in a trice with a no time, in a single moment. In a moment, he was wandering somewhere else. He was wandering somewhere far away from that ugly and dark environment of the office, far from the grey and grimy heat of that intolerable street. Within no time, he had uh, escaped from that unbearable, from that dark, from that dirty, from that suffocating, from that humid and dark environment of that street, of that area, of that region, of that office. And where he had gone? In the very next line, he tells us where he had gone. Over sapphire, berg, and emerald flow, beneath the still, cold, ruby glow. He had used many metaphors in these lines, the metaphors of sapphire, of emerald, of ruby glow, for the ice sheet, floating ice sheet. He had gone to the polar region where the floating ice sheet on the surface of the ocean is appearing like the sapphire and emerald and diamond bergs beneath the still cold ruby glow, because it was the time of the night. So, under the cool ruby light of the moon, the crystals in the ice sheet were shining like the sapphire and emerald, like the precious stones. Bewildered by the queer half light of everlasting polar night, he was perplexed. He was confused in the strange half light, because it was moonlight. It was not the light of the sun, that is full light and the bright light. Rather, it was the half light, the semi darkness. That was the moonlit night, everlasting polar night. He had lost the consciousness of the time. That's why he was calling the everlasting polar night. Until I stumbled unawares upon a creek where big white bears plunged headlong down with flourished heels and floundered after shining seals. He was quite confused, perplexed, bewildered there, and unconsciously he found himself in a short, narrow water path. Along with the white, beautiful polar bears, the naughty, the playful polar bears who were jumping headlong, who were jumping with their heads down into the ocean with flourished heels and floundered after shining seals. Who were playing there, who were enjoying there, who were making merry, and the bears were quite happy, and they were jumping into the ocean with their heads down and their heels upwards, and they were making their path through the water by their heels, and they were chasing the shining and bright seals. Through shivering seas of blinding blue, and as I watched them ere I knew, through shivering seas of blinding blue, they were playing there. They were chasing the seals in that in the trembling waves of the ocean of that blue water. And as I watched them, ere I knew, before he knew, he was watching them, and before gaining any consciousness, I had tripped and I was swimming too. He had put off his clothes, and he was also swimming with the fish among the seal pack. He was swimming along with the seals, young and hale. The seals were quite young, quite healthy, beautiful, energetic, and thrashing on with thrashing tail, with twist and twirl and sudden leap. And they were also in a playful mood, the seals. Uh, they were also playing there. Suddenly, they turned to a side and then they moved circular motions, thrusting, turning. On with threshing tail, they were swimming and they were moving in a circular motion with through crackling eyes, through crackling ice and salty deep, and they were doing all these things, all these happy and enjoyable activities through the crackling ice of the ocean and the salty deep and the salty deep water of the ocean, diving and doubling with my kind. They were diving there, they were jumping there, they were playing there with a human being, the poet, the clerk, until at last we left behind those big white blundering bulks of death, and they have traveled downwards in the depth of the ocean, and they had left far behind the upper crust of the upper layer of the ocean where there was the ice sheet. uh, and they had left the ice, they had left those big icebergs far behind them, and blundering bulks of the death are the mighty hills of the snow that was formed due to snow in the uh, ocean, and lay at length with panting breath upon a far untravelled floe. And they up till now they were quite tired, and they were panting, and they were taking their breath with difficulty, and they were lying upon a far untraveled floor. They had reached to the layer of the ocean that is quite deep, that had never been traveled, that had never